Hello friends, welcome to the Point. In today's session, let's discuss about the scheduled and tribal areas. Article 244 in Part 10 of our Constitution, it envisages a special system of administration for certain areas that is designed as scheduled areas and tribal areas. The fifth schedule of our Constitution, it deals with administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in any state except 4 states, and those are Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. So these are the 4 states where the 5th schedule of our Constitution does not deal with the administration control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in these 4 states. And the 6th schedule of our Constitution, it deals with administration of tribal areas in 4 northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Administration of scheduled areas. The scheduled areas, they are treated differently from other areas in the country. Why? Because they are inhabited by aboriginals who are socially and economically backward, and therefore special efforts has to be made to improve their conditions, and that is the reason why the whole administrative machinery which is operating in a state, or we can say a normal administrative machinery that is operating in a state, it is not extended to scheduled areas, and the central government, it has somewhat greater responsibilities for scheduled areas. The various features of administration that is contained in the 5th schedule of our Constitution are declaration of scheduled areas, executive power of state and center, tribes advisory council and law applicable to scheduled areas. Let's discuss in detail about all these features. So, declaration of scheduled areas. The President is empowered to declare an area whether it is scheduled area or not. President has the power to increase or decrease the size of scheduled area. He can alter its boundary lines, or he can make up fresh orders for such redesignation on any area with the consultation of governor of that particular state concerned. Remember, only President is empowered to declare an area as scheduled area, and he can also increase or decrease the area of scheduled areas. Executive power of state and center. So the executive power of a state, it extends to scheduled areas, but the governor, he has a special responsibility regarding all such areas. So governor, he has to submit a report to the president regarding the administration of scheduled areas in his state. The report of scheduled areas, it is given to the president by the governor annually or whenever it is required by the president. Whenever the president asks, then the governor, he submits the report of all such executive powers of state and center regarding scheduled areas. And the executive power of the center, it extends to giving directions to the states and regarding the administration of such areas. Tribes Advisory Council. So each state that has a scheduled areas, it has to establish a tribes advisory council to advise on welfare and advancement of scheduled tribes. And this council, it consists of 20 members, 3/4 of whom are to be the representatives of scheduled tribes in the state legislative assembly. And in same way like Tribes Advisory Council, a similar council can also be established in a state having scheduled tribes but not scheduled areas, and this has to be done only if the president directs. Law applicable to scheduled areas. The governor is empowered to direct any particular act of parliament or state legislature which does not apply to scheduled areas, or it can be applied only with a specified modifications and exceptions. So the governor, he can make regulations for the peace and good government of scheduled areas after consulting with the tribe's advisory council, and such regulations may prohibit or restrict the transfer of land among members of the scheduled tribes, and it may regulate the allotment of land to the members of scheduled tribes, and it may also regulate the business of money lending in relation to scheduled tribes. A regulation, it may repeal or amend any act of the parliament or the state legislature which is applicable to scheduled areas, but all such regulations, it requires the assent of president. The constitution, it requires the president to appoint a commission to report on the administration of scheduled areas and the welfare of the scheduled tribes in the state. And the president, he can appoint a commission at any time, but compulsorily after 10 years of its commencement. After 10 years of the commencement of the constitution. And therefore a commission was appointed in the year 1960, and it was headed by UN Debar, and it submitted its report in the year 1961. And after 4 decades, the second commission was appointed in the year 2002 under the chairmanship of Dilip Singh Bhuria, and it submitted its report in the year 2004. Administration of tribal areas. The constitution under 6th schedule, it contains special provisions for the administration of tribal areas in 4 northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. The rationality behind the special arrangement for these 4 states is why? Because the tribes in the Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram have not assimilated much of their lives and ways with other peoples in their states, and these areas, they have a hitherto which has been an anthropological specimens, and the tribal people in other parts of India, they have more or less, they have adapted to the culture of the majority of the people in their states they live around. And the tribes in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram, they still have their roots in their own culture, customs and civilization. So these areas is treated differently by the constitution, and sizable amount of autonomy it has been given to those people for self-government. The various features of administration contained in the 6th schedule are: the tribal areas in the 4 states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram have been constituted as autonomous districts, but they do not fall outside the executive authority of the state concerned. The governor, he is empowered to organize and reorganize the autonomous districts, and therefore he can increase or decrease their areas, or he can change the names, or he can define their boundaries and so on. Suppose if there are different tribes in an autonomous district, at that time the governor, he can divide the district into several autonomous regions. Each autonomous district, it has a district council which consists of 30 members, and of them 4 are nominated by the governor, and remaining 26 they are elected on the basis of adult franchise. And the elected members, they will hold office for a term of 5 years unless the council is dissolved earlier, and the nominated members, they hold the office during the pleasure of governor, and each autonomous region, it has a separate regional council. The district and regional council administer the areas under their jurisdiction, and they can make laws on certain specified matters like land, forest, canal water, shifting cultivation, village administration, inheritance of property, marriage and divorce, and so on. But all such laws, they require the assent of governor. The district and regional council, with their territorial jurisdictions, they can constitute village councils or courts for trial of suits and cases between the tribes, and they hear appeals for them, and the jurisdictions of the High Court over these suits and cases, it is specified by governor. The district councils, they can establish, construct or manage primary schools, dispensaries, markets, ferries, fisheries and so on in the district. And it can also make, that means the district council, they can make regulations for the control of money lending and trading by the non-tribals. But such regulations, they also require the assent of governor. The district and regional councils are empowered to access and collect land revenue, to impose certain specified taxes. The acts of parliament or the state legislature, it do not apply to autonomous district and autonomous regions. So it can be applied only with specified modifications and exceptions. So apart from this, the governor, he can appoint a commission to examine and report on any matter that is relating to the administration of the autonomous district or the regions. So the governor, he can also dissolve a district or a regional council on the recommendation of commission. So this is all about scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. See you all in the next session with some other interesting topic. Thank you.